Chapter 49. Demon, Sword, and Successor. High above the clouds, amidst jagged peaks touched by ethereal blue flora, Commander Julius Ragnar sat meditating opposite Osa Ragnar Plunus, the plum blossom dragon. She held the leather-bound tome, quill poised above it, as if adding a final note. Julius remained silent, his expression unreadable behind his eye patch. Osa finally spoke, her tone laced with amusement, calling Julius cruel. She chided him for wanting to keep Theo all to himself when she had proposed sharing him as their joint disciple. Julius could only manage an irritated grunt in response, looking away as Osa chuckled softly, telling him not to be so jealous. Ultimately, she reasoned, this arrangement was for Theo's benefit, a point she was sure Julius couldn't deny. Osa elaborated, stating her certainty that Julius was already aware of the immense expectations surrounding Theo, expectations that far outstripped those placed on any other successor candidate. His talent signaled unprecedented growth, but that rapid ascent meant he would inevitably hit a developmental wall much faster and harder than others. Facing such a barrier prematurely could stall or even break a prodigy. This joint tutelage, this book containing the dialectic between opposing sword philosophies, Osa asserted while holding the tome aloft, would provide Theo the perspective needed to overcome that impending wall. Julius, however, voiced a deeper concern, a lingering what if? What if Theo, armed with such power and insight, didn't just become the clan head's rival, but an enemy of the entire Ragnar clan? Osa's expression turned serious, acknowledging the unspoken fear. She reminded Julius that, as they both knew, individuals who grew so powerful so quickly often met unfortunate, often bloody, ends. Precisely, Julius countered. If history repeated itself, the very teachings they intended to share with Theo could become the instruments of Ragnar blood spilled by his hand. Osa smiled faintly, finding his concern unexpected. She had thought his head was only full of tough love for the boy. It seemed there was genuine apprehension beneath the demon dragon's gruff exterior. Yet, after hearing his fears, she felt more certain than ever. Julius, she declared with a decisive smirk, was indeed the right person to hold onto this book for now. She entrusted the tome to him with specific instructions. Watch over Theo. When Julius became certain that the boy would remain untainted by greed, when he had grown into a true Ragnar who could value every moment and understand the weight of his power, only then was he to pass the book on to him. Julius accepted the tome, his expression resolute, contemplating the heavy responsibility. Theo, still reeling from the revelation, clutched the book. To become a joint disciple of the Sword Dragon and the Demon Dragon, two figures reputed to be number 1 and 2 in swordsmanship within the clan, felt unreal. He questioned if he was truly worthy of such an honor. Julius waved off his humility, stating firmly that he was only giving Theo this chance because he believed him worthy. A genuine, rare grin spread across Theo's face. Thinking back, he realized how much he owed Julius and Evelyn. From the Rendon incident until now, they had helped him grow significantly, offering unconditional support even though he had done little for them in return. He looked towards him, who stood nearby, and voiced his gratitude, promising sincerely to repay their favor one day. Julius's grin widened, turning predatory. He informed Theo that there was a way to repay that favor right now. With explosive energy, Julius launched himself forward, declaring it had been too long since he'd had a fun new disciple to spar with. He couldn't just call himself commander and sit still, could he? It was time for a duel. The real lessons, he roared, were starting now. Theo barely had time to brace himself, a bead of sweat tracing a path down his temple as the commander's overwhelming presence bore down on him. The ensuing lesson was brutal. Hours later, muffled sounds of exertion and impact echoed from a heavily bolted training room. Inside, the blonde dragoon, presumably undergoing his own intense training, was heard screaming for Evelyn to save him, apologizing profusely to his young master, his cries punctuated by heavy thuds and the clang of chains. Outside, the sky had lightened, the heavy chains lying discarded near the training room door. Evelyn pushed the doors open cautiously, finding Theo slumped on the training ground steps, battered and exhausted. She rushed to his side, calling his name, asking with concern if he was all right. Theo managed a weak smile, assuring her he was okay, though he dryly remarked that he thought the commander might have gone a little overboard this time. Evelyn deadpanned, "A little?" Changing the subject, she reported that, as Theo had ordered, she had confined the captured lead Troivan agent in the underground detention cell. She questioned if it was truly all right to just leave him there, untreated and uninterrogated. Theo waved a dismissive hand, explaining the agent wasn't the type to spill secrets, no matter the method. Restraining from torture or interrogation entirely was, counterintuitively, part of his plan. He reassured Evelyn not to worry. He then leaned closer, whispering further instructions into her ear. Evelyn's eyes widened slightly in understanding. Later that day, Theo found himself standing before the elegant gates of the Plum Blossom Palace, making his way across the meticulously kept palace training grounds. OSA Ragnar Plunus awaited him. Theo offered a formal greeting to Lady Plum Blossom. OSA welcomed him, stating she had been waiting and asking if he received the present she and the demon dragon had prepared, the book. Theo confirmed he had, acknowledging that her present had already been of great benefit. As he spoke, the training ground around them transformed. Spectral plum blossoms filled the air as phantom swords materialized, dancing in intricate, flowing patterns, embodying the essence of life OSA had described earlier. OSA smiled, pleased that he liked it. She stated her desire to continue teaching him about the fundamental building blocks of technique often overlooked, the true root of swordsmanship. They would start with this. She gestured to the display, and by the end, she looked forward to discussing how to make life truly blossom with the sword. Now, she declared, her expression turning intent, she would ask again. Theo Ragnar, would he become her disciple? Theo bowed his head slightly. Before giving his answer, he requested permission to ask something first. He inquired if OSA was asking this in her capacity as the Heaven Dragon Sword Master. OSA's eyes widened slightly in surprise, a slow, intrigued smile spreading across her lips. She remarked that it was impressive he knew something considered a secret to most. Standing tall, she planted her practice sword firmly into the ground, stating simply that she would not deny it. The Heaven Dragon Sword was a secret school, its teachings passed down through only one disciple at a time. She confirmed her identity as its sole inheritor, the Heaven Dragon Sword Master. Seeing Theo's calculating gaze, she asked if he sought her true intentions. Theo quickly apologized for his presumption. OSA waved it off, assuring him she wasn't scolding him and stating plainly that she held no ulterior motives. From the full bloom of the plum blossoms to the secrets of the Heaven Dragon Sword, she had intended to pass it all on to him. Just as Theo processed this staggering offer, he heard footsteps approaching through the blossom-filled courtyard. A voice called out, "You there?" A group of men in Plum Blossom Palace attire approached, their leader eyeing Theo critically. He identified Theo as the new recruit of the White Armored Dragon Cavalry. Theo confirmed his identity, asking brusquely, "So what?" The leader bristled at the curt reply, noting the lack of proper greetings. He haughtily reminded Theo that, as a new member of the Plum Blossom Palace and a disciple of Lady Plum Blossom, he should show the bare minimum of respect to his seniors. Theo scoffed openly, finding their posturing an immature attempt to protect fragile egos. Senior this, senior that, ranks only mattered under a direct superior officer, which none of them were. Their titles were irrelevant here. The leader sputtered indignantly, questioning how Theo could claim they weren't his superiors when he was now a disciple of their palace. Wasn't he their junior? Theo merely smirked, informing them they seemed gravely mistaken about something. Lady Plum Blossom's generous offer to become her disciple. He had rejected it. The Plum Blossom members stared, utterly dumbfounded.